Welcome to the second video in the PAA stool building series. In this video, we'll begin by marking and cutting the angles onto the legs as well as the top and bottom cross pieces. We're going to be using some different marking tools and the miter saw a lot today. So grab your set of plans and let's get started. By now, you should have all of your pieces cut to rough length except for the seat pieces. We'll discuss those in a future video. We're going to start with cutting the angles onto our legs. You'll need a T-bevel and a tape measure and a sharp pencil. Using the 5-degree template found on the pegboard, set your T-bevel to 5 degrees. Choose a 20-inch leg piece and mark a 5-degree angle on the edge. Place the mark as close to the end of the board as possible. Notice that we're marking the edge, not the flat face of the board. Over at the miter saw, angle the saw to 5 degrees according to your mark. Make sure that the board is on the edge. You won't be able to use a clamp at this point, so make sure that it's held securely against the fence. Line up the blade with your mark and slowly make the cut. Back at the table, measure and make a mark at 19.5 inches. Use the T-bevel to mark an angle that is going the same direction as the other side. The leg angles create a parallelogram here, so check with your instructor before making the next cut. When you've been given the green light, you can make the second angled cut. Using the first leg as a template, trace the angles onto the 3 remaining legs. This will save you a bunch of measuring and marking, and it ensures that all your legs are going to be the same size. Then head over to the miter saw and make your remaining cuts. When you finish one, rotate the board 180 degrees. The angle will remain the same and you won't have to move the saw. Now, find your 9-inch top cross pieces and mark a 5-degree angle on one of the boards. Mark it on the edge, close to the end of the board, and make that cut. Measure over 8 1/4 and draw an angle, this time going in the opposite direction. I'm going to say that again, opposite direction. This piece will create a trapezoid. Make sure to check with your instructor before making the second cut. Once approved, you can make the other cut over at the miter saw. You may have to move the saw 5 degrees the other way. Use that piece as a template to mark the other angles and make the cuts at the miter saw. And finally, take a 12-inch piece and mark a 5-degree angle. This time, we need to mark it on the flat face of the board, not the edge. This is very important that you mark the flat face. With the board lying flat, make the cut on the miter saw. You may need to move the saw again to 5 degrees. After making the cut, measure out 11 inches from that first cut and mark a 5-degree angle going the opposite direction. This will also create a trapezoid. Make sure it's on the flat face, not the edge. Check with your instructor before cutting.
Just did this part. Nice. Just to make sure, yeah, and then lift it up.
Now you can make that second cut over at the miter saw. You may have to flip the saw 5 degrees the other way.
You're aggressive.
And just as before, use the first piece to trace the marks onto the other 12-inch piece. Make the remaining cuts at the miter saw. Now you will have all the angles cut for the legs, as well as the top and bottom cross pieces. Be sure to initial all your pieces so they don't get lost, and find a safe space for your pieces in the storage room. And that's it for this video. Please check back for the next video and the next set of steps.